Hi and welcome to the Malat cookery channel. So I've had lots of requests from people asking if I can come up with some recipe ideas based purely on what foodstuffs are still available in the supermarkets during this coronavirus pandemic of 2020. So what I've decided to do is a mini series of videos where I'll go out in the morning to the supermarket, see what is still available, come back, devise a recipe and then film it and publish it on our Malat YouTube cookery channel. Okay, so it's day 2 of our mini series. Yesterday I went out and bought some ingredients to make a really decent pasta sauce. I've been out this morning, so just a little bit more detail about what I'm doing. I'm going out to 3 supermarkets which are local to me: Tesco store, Aldi store and Lidl, having a look at what's still left on the shelves, and it changes day by day, and then devising a recipe based on what I've managed to buy and obviously producing the videos to help you guys. And the idea of this mini series is to help in a very small way to show people not to panic, that even though some of the processed food has gone completely off the shelf, there are still ingredients left within the store to make some really decent meals. So yesterday was a decent pasta sauce. It follows on today that I show you how to make fresh pasta to go with that sauce, because I think dry pasta disappeared off the supermarket shelves almost a week ago. But fresh pasta is so easy to make. So this morning I managed to get some free-range eggs from Aldi and some bread flour from Tesco. So obviously a classic recipe would be using 00 flour, maybe combining that with semolina flour, but this isn't about classic recipes. As I said, this is about being able to produce decent meals with the food that's left in the supermarkets. As usual, a full list of ingredients will be given at the end of the video, so let's have a look at those ingredients now and anything else we're going to need for today. So the ingredients for today's recipe, I've got 170 grams of the bread flour that I managed to get this morning, and I've got 2 medium free-range eggs which have been beaten, and again those are the eggs that I got from Aldi this morning. I've also got a little bit of extra flour, and the reason for that is we're going to be mixing this by hand and it does get a bit messy, so having a little bit of extra flour to one side means that I can dip my hand in that, and it means that any of the pastry that's on your fingers will come off a lot easier. Okay, so as we get this dough combined, as you can see there's a lot stuck to your fingers, and this is where this extra flour comes in. So just take a little bit of that extra flour and that will allow you to get the rest of this pastry off your fingers a lot easier. So depending on the size of your medium free-range eggs, because the supermarkets all have different sizes, then if this is a little bit dry, this dough, you can always add about a teaspoon of water at a time, just cold water if you need to. It needs to be a fairly firm dough anyway. And the 170 grams of flour and the size of the medium eggs that I've managed to buy, it looks like it's perfect, so I don't need to actually add any water to this. So we'll just keep doing this, just taking a little bit of that flour until we've got all of the pasta dough off your fingers, and then just combine everything in a ball. So once we've got all of our dough combined, and that's what it should look like, the next thing to do, and this is really important, we need to knead the dough. So take a bit of this extra flour, not too much, and the reason for kneading the dough is we want to strengthen the dough structure. So we want to stretch out those gluten strands to create a really strong dough. So I'm going to be kneading this for about 5 minutes. So all you do, get it into a ball, and with the heel of your hand, push away from you to stretch out, fold it in, turn it, push away, fold it in, turn, push away. So what we're doing is we're stretching out the structure underneath, folding it over, turning, and this is probably the most basic kneading method there is. Again, a little bit of flour on your hands and on the work surface if you need it, and just carry on doing that. You don't need to be an expert, just as long as you stretch it out somehow, and then you fold it and turn it so that each bit of this dough is getting kneaded, and just carry on doing that for about 5 minutes. Okay, so that's our pasta dough kneaded. The more you knead it, the smoother it gets, the better it feels, the softer it feels as well. So that's just about right. So an important step is obviously kneading. The next important step is that we chill the dough before we attempt to roll it out. So you treat pasta dough very similar to a sweet short crust pastry. It needs to be chilled before we work with it. Another important thing is that you can't allow it to dry out. So we wrap the dough in cling film or food wrap. That's now going to go into the fridge for 30 minutes before we attempt to work with it. When we are working with it, we make sure that if we're only working with a small piece at any time, the rest of the dough is covered with the cling film or food wrap again to stop it from drying out. You remember those basic points and you won't go far wrong at all with something like making your own pasta. So we've got our chilled pasta dough, been in the fridge for 30 minutes. I've taken a piece off the main block, covered this back up with cling film. Again, it's very important we stop this from drying out. I'm going to put this back in the fridge to continue chilling. So there are many shapes that we can make our pasta, our fresh pasta out of with the dough. Have a look on YouTube, there are some fantastic videos on there for shaping pasta. People are a lot more skilled than I am. I just want to go through 3 basic shapes that I use when I'm making fresh pasta. So first of all, on our work surface, got a little bit of flour on this side in case I need it. The first pasta shape I'm going to show you is fusilli, which is basically just spiral pasta. And for that, not only do I not have any flour on the work surface, but I've actually slightly dampened this side to do the fusilli because it works out a lot better. Taking this piece of dough, just make it into a cylindrical shape. What we're going to be doing is rolling this dough, and if there was any flour on the work surface, this would just slide backwards and forwards. I've also got a skewer which is going to help us make the fusilli. So what I want to do is just the end of the dough is just start to roll this out, and what I'm trying to, or what I will be producing, is almost like a very thin shoelace. And again, having that little bit of tackiness on this work surface just makes it a lot easier. Okay, so once we've got this almost like thin shoelace, just cut off a section, take our skewer, just make sure that is just lightly floured, don't want too much on there. Start with the piece of pasta dough at say 45-degree angle to the skewer, fold this over, and then just apply some downward pressure to flatten out the pasta dough and just roll it down the skewer till you get to the end, like that. And then with the flour that you've placed on the skewer, you should be able to easily take this off. Okay, and that is our fusilli. So we just carry on doing that for as many, obviously, pieces of fresh pasta as you need. The beauty about doing this is when you've got enough fresh pasta, we just put this back into a bowl, place the food wrap or cling film over the top and back into the fridge, and then we can use it another day. It's also something really great to get the kids involved with if you've got children, especially young children. They'll love this. And it's an education thing as well. It also teaches them, you know, pasta, how to make it from scratch. So there's no panic when you go into a supermarket and find that the dry pasta shelf is completely empty. So our next two shapes can be done with the pasta dough rolled out to a very thin sheet. So we're talking about 1 millimeter thick. So I've got a little bit of flour on the work surface, a little bit of flour on the pasta dough, and I'm using just a standard rolling pin. So no pasta machine, even though I've got one in the cupboard. Don't want to cheat. And basically all I'm going to do, and again, I'm only using this small piece of pasta dough just as an example. I'm going to roll this out until it goes to about 1 millimeter thick. Okay, so once we get this pasta dough sheet rolled out really thin, and this bamboo chopping board, I can actually see the grain running underneath it, so I'll just show you how thin to get it. So the next shape we can do is obviously something like a lasagna sheet. So we can cut these out either in squares, or better still, if we get the dish that we're going to be doing the lasagna in, turn it upside down, we can actually cut out the perfect sheet for that particular dish. So lasagna sheets, really easy to do. The third one, the one I want to show you, is tagliatelle strips. So we just flour this edge, fold that over, and every time you make a fold, just add a bit of flour so that the sheet doesn't stick to itself. Fold it over again, and then all we do then, we just simply get a knife and cut 2 or 3 millimeter slices off the end. And that is our tagliatelle. Just sprinkle some flour over so it doesn't stick to itself. And then we can cook that, and that will be just some perfect pasta. As I said, lots of videos on YouTube on different pasta shapes. You can also invest in a pasta machine if you like. So the last thing to cover, I think, is how to actually cook fresh pasta So we cook fresh pasta exactly the same as we would dried pasta. So I've got some boiling water, which has got some salt added, so slightly salted boiling water. Just place our fresh pasta in the boiling water, but the beauty about fresh pasta is on average it takes about half the time of dried pasta. So this particular pasta, this fusilli, will take around 7 minutes to cook. So 7 minutes later, our pasta is cooked to perfection. So we've got our fusilli in there, which has kept its shape perfectly. We've got our tagliatelle as well. Absolutely fantastic. No need to worry about those empty shelves in the supermarket when you can make stuff like this. It is really simple to do. And tastes absolutely delicious. So that's it. How to make decent fresh pasta, again even using something like bread flour. I'm hoping that some of you will view this video and think, what was I worried about when the dried pasta disappeared off the shelves? I can't believe how easy it is to make your own pasta. Please subscribe to the channel, and as usual, if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button, and don't forget to watch out for the next videos which are coming along. I'm going to try and do a video every day for at least the next week. Thank you for watching.